Welcome back to Michael Curran Show. Gun control being the issue, and you're hearing intelligent, informed people with very convincing arguments on both sides. What should the next stage be? I mean, does there need to be any change at this point in Canada?
In gun control?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly, we need to stop spending money on that ridiculous gun registry, start putting it into enhanced law enforcement, enhanced screening, stiffer penalties, take some of that money and actually open up a few more jail cells would be a good idea. And I think if we could do that, we would start to see some declines. But you made a wonderful point in the break, and I've got to reiterate.
Oh, in the break?
Yeah.
Oh, that was no use. No one heard.
That's right. That's why I have to reiterate it. Because it isn't about gun control, it is about declining social standards, it's about kids who are not being brought up properly, it's about increased violence in everything that kids look at. You don't see these problems nearly as much in rural areas where kids are still raised with some moral values. And I really think that that is a far bigger part of the equation than gun control.
I can hear you sighing there, but guns are very common in rural communities, I mean, by their nature. And I mean, I think this is surely beyond dispute that order is greater and random crime and violence is far lower than in urban centres.
Yes, but it's not just the gangsters, it's not just the people that don't have fathers, it's not just single mothers raising these children. I believe it starts when you're a child. If you're not taught what to do, if you're not raised with morals, what your child does when they leave that door is up to them. You try to install the morals and the qualities you have and hope to God that when they go out, they do what you install in them. But you can't do that all the time. And as far as you saying it's a certain group of people that are committing all these crimes, no. No,
that was never said. No, it really wasn't. I don't know where you heard that from.
You were mentioning
changes. Just one moment, but again, God, he's on his own here. This is an argument for this side. It is about instilling moral values and virtues, and what we were saying was in rural communities where there are a lot of guns, I mean, kids of the youngest age have guns, or have access to guns and see guns, crime is generally lower, and there's more social order and respect for authority. So that would add up to, it's not about guns, it's about the people who have them.
Correct. Crime's lower not because there's more access to guns. No. It's lower because there's a greater social order, and
But it doesn't enable more crime. I'm not saying that access to guns makes people more law-abiding, but it doesn't increase the chances of them being criminal.
Absolutely.
They're not related.
I agree 100%. But equally, I don't agree with opening the floodgates and allowing more people to possess weapons easier and to have more permits to carry concealed. Those are not the... We don't have to travel down that road in this country. We haven't. We don't have to. And I agree with Tony. I mean, how about some crime control, you know? How about a corrections review? How about looking at our parole laws? Why is the opposition pushing back on really good legislation, Bill C-9 and 10, the conditional sentencing bill, pushing back on the mandatory minimum sentencing for gun crimes bills, all of the kinds of things that have been introduced in the last year that if they didn't push back on them and we got them passed would make a difference in terms of cracking down on the bad guys.
So it's all the fault of the Liberals?
The Liberals, the opposition.
Partisan politics aside, I do find it quite disgusting that on an issue as important as safety of ordinary Canadians, party politics are being played in Ottawa.
They've acted disgracefully, and it's not just the Liberals. The Bloc and the NDP have been right in there with them. I mean, let's be fair. It has been, on the crime control front, it has been a disgrace.
Okay.
I guess you were mentioning about changes in the last few years that may have led youth to be more violent and so on. What about the Young Offenders Act? Well, it seems to me like that is probably a major contributor to the level of violence and the level of criminality among young people.
True, but so we have to deal with young offenders more efficiently, but at the same time we should have more guns on the street. Isn't that a bit of a contradiction?
I'm not necessarily saying there should be more guns on the street.
If there are more guns, if there's more access to guns, you can guarantee there'll be more guns on the street.
I'm not so sure about that. I very much support licensing, as do all law-abiding sports persons that I know anyway. I support licensing, and licensing isn't happening for young people. It's not like that.
Guns dribble through the system.
I don't believe that. I think most of that is coming, most of the guns that are on the street, illegal guns, and I mean, you can verify this.
Sure, they're coming across the border through reserves.
But a sizable number, though, are not. I mean, that's the majority of them.
Oh, I don't know about sizable.
Bad guys are stealing them from lawful gun owners too. That's part of this, and that's why we have to continue to ensure that the right people that legally possess guns possess them, so that we know that there's a better chance. Like, you know, like my brother-in-law, he's got a big safe where he keeps his shotgun, his hunting rifle, and it's a big honking safe that you'd have to work at for days to get into. Because
Do you two get along?
We get along great because I support sport shooters. I support people that go to ranges. I support the farmers. I support all the folks that have guns for a lawful reason. I don't bring my, I've lived in the city my whole life, but I actually don't bring my urban sensibilities to bear on what for them is a sport and a hobby and something that moves them. I get that just the same way that, you know, the things I do, I trust they think, you know, they're okay, like whatever that may be. You know what I mean? Like,
you're a true liberal, sir, which is unusual for a 30-year cop. Got a break. Back in a few moments after a brief hiatus of naked capitalism. Commercials, they're good. We'll see you soon. Do not depart.